All right, gang, so let's talk for a minute about what Procreate is. Now, this is the last lesson in which you're not going to really put anything on the page, right? We're going to get right down to drawing here in the next one. But I want to show you how Procreate is different from, say, Adobe Illustrator or Affinity Designer. Now, if you've used Adobe Illustrator, you're familiar with what is called a vector-based program. So let me just change over here. All right, perfect. So a vector-based program uses math. Now, this math means when we create a line, it has these things called nodes, right? This was a node, and the nodes had handles. This looks like this, and you would grab the handle and adjust the node in order to change the line. This is not what Procreate does. Procreate is a raster based program, which means it is pixel based. So Procreate is a pixel based program, which means each one of these little dots on the screen is what is called a pixel. And so pixels work on the idea of selection. So when we see pixels like this, and you make a selection up here, you draw around here, and what you're telling Procreate is all the pixels that apply within this selection I want to select. Okay. So it's a little bit different because once it's pixel based, it is prone to something called pixelation. Now, let me explain to you what we're doing here. When you go into Procreate, we'll go over here. You don't have to go anywhere. You just have to follow along. And you create a new canvas. You see here that this square is 2048 by 2048 pixels, which means there are 2048 little dots this way and 2048 little dots this way. Now, your average screen on a screen monitor is 1920 by 1080. That's how many pixels are in your average monitor. So something of this size would be adequate to stretch to this size. But now, if you decide to blow this thing up to like 6 feet by 6 feet, you're going to have a lot more pixels per square inch, right? So that will distort. So pixel-based image is prone to distortion. Okay, that is the big deal with all raster or pixel-based images. So to do that, you need to be very aware, and here is Jeremy's rule for this. Choose a canvas close to the size you will be working with. Now, what does that mean, right? Let's say that you have a image. Let's say that you're going to put on a t-shirt. So here's your t-shirt, right? And from here to here is roughly 24 inches. Well, if you're working at a minimum dots per inch of 300, 24 times 300, that means it's got to be about 7,200 pixels in order to clearly print at that size. If you're working on something like this size at 2,000 pixels, guess what? You got to stretch it 3 times now. And because we have dots here, Procreate will try to fill in the dots and it will not do a great job. That's how your images turn out to be super blurry. Again, one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you: create a canvas that is very close to what your actual application is going to be. So think it through, folks. Are you creating a desktop icon? Are you creating a background screensaver? Or are you planning on using it in a t-shirt, a mug, or another type of print application? All right, folks, that's a little bit about what Procreate is, how to begin with the end in mind, and how it differs from a traditional program like Adobe Illustrator. All right, enough theory. Let's get into practice and make some marks on this thing.